Hello! Hello everyone. I'm very happy and excited to be here today. Not because we have a release. We don't have a release today. But there's so much happening and it's really cool to see you all here, being able to chat and answer some questions and, get some interactions going. And sorry for not being here last week. I was at a marketing event up in London called Viva, Marketing in Games. I gave a speech about, it was about IPs and video games, so franchise brands and branding stuff and so on. And it was very cool, very interesting, lots of very cool people, lots of meetings. I have to say, it's very exciting. The market out there, we had Daniela, yeah, I know Annie. The market out there is very tough and difficult, and it's really good to see other people sort of facing the same challenges and understanding what is what's the angle that they try to give to their job to sort of make it work. Some great launches today. I have to mention at least one game that was released, I think a couple of days ago now, or yesterday, maybe yesterday, a game called Classified 44 by our friends at Absolutely Games. A great sort of XCOM style World War II game that I urge you to try out. So what is happening this week? We've got a lot of stuff happening, and I shall start by saying something that Marco Tonello is moving house. That's a big news, really. Do we have a picture of that? No, we don't. We don't have a picture. We don't have the picture. Marco is moving house, and why I'm saying this? Because he forgot to say in the notes of the tea time that there's a new beta starting today. The beta signups for Strategic Command World War II War in the Pacific have started. So if you want to join the beta for Strategic Command World War II War in the Pacific, head over to matrixgames.com/beta and you'll find it there. It's a new game. It's a new game in the series. It's not a DLC, so it will not give me an excuse to say the title of the titles, but I will still say it later on today. As you know, there is a challenge that we have to say the title every single tea time. I'll be saying that. And the new DLC, Strategic Command Moving House, would be great. Logistics in Strategic Command are important, so why not? Yogdog has applied to the beta. I have to say that probably Yogdog will have a first class ticket to the beta. But yes, there's a store page for it already. There's the word is out, and that's releasing in not so much actually. We're looking at around 2 months for a beta, so we should be very close to that. That was for Strategic Command, and everything that is not in this list of things to say. Today we have a guest. We'll have a guest later on. Alexander from the Starny Games is joining us to discuss a bit about Headquarters World War II, as also he will have some news about release dates, hopefully. Let's see if we can get him to say something about release dates. And also will tell us about French tanks for the joy of Yogdog. I don't know if we just discuss French tanks, but it's always good to drop the French tanks in the discussion, in the conversation. Hello, Byron. How are you? All good? Well, first, in my list of things to say, not next week, the week after, will be sort of spreading out. Some of us will be spreading out at different shows. So the week starting the 19th, I think, it's going to be GDC. So I'll be there with Alberto. It will be so we'll be probably going to do tea time from there like we did last year. Probably trying to find a way of doing tea time by getting someone on the stream to to give you a bit of a peek on the market and how things are going with strategy gaming in general. So hopefully that will be an interesting thing to do in a couple of weeks' time. Also, the same week is Adepticon in the US, 20 to the 24th of March in Chicago, just outside of Chicago. We will be there. We'll be there with a stand and sponsoring the event, and so if you are in the area, if you are willing to come and see us, come and say hello at Adepticon. It's we're also going to be playing some tournaments there. So we still love the tabletop, so we want to make sure that we are present, like we did at Warfare last year. We want to be present at as many of these events as we can, because it's really cool to play with the minis, and we still like it a lot. I can't even escape French tanks in Terminator. French tanks in Terminator are very bad. The next thing I want to say, just to get stuff out of the way, but also letting you know what we are doing, is on sales. So on Steam, you can find all the Gladius franchise up to 90% off. It's also Distant Worlds 2 is on sale. It's also on sale as the biggest discount we've ever given to Distant Worlds is 50% off, so you can grab it there if you want, and all the DLCs are 20% off as well, and Advanced Tactics Gold is 70% off on Steam as well. On Slitherine and Matrix, you'll find the Field of Glory 2 franchise is 75% off. Sorry, up to 75% off this week, and the Flashpoint campaigns games are up to 80% off this week. This is not the week where we announce Field of Glory Napoleon, but you can still wait for that. There's still time for us to announce that. I'm not joking. Maybe it's gonna happen. Who knows? Should you annoy Yogg with more French tanks? Of course we should. Only 2 votes? That wasn't good. Can you rerun it and everyone votes? I think we should give more annoyance to Yogg Dog. It's he deserves it. Napoleon what? Ha! I said the magic word. That's even more magic than Strategic Command World War I Empires in Turmoil. The next thing I want to say is we are going soon. Okay, so as you probably know, we have released for Starship Troopers, we have released recently the update for the editor, the scenario editor, that now includes all the lava elements that you can find in the DLC, in the latest DLC. Raising Hell DLC. Thank you for displaying the key art, because I was completely forgetting the title of the thing. Gosh, my brain's going completely... Anyway, we have added all these elements to the scenario editor, and soon we'll be doing a competition for modding scenarios on Starship Troopers on the Discord. So make sure you join the Discord, but also make sure that you're there when we launch the competition. It's going to be interesting. And I mean, the last one we did produce some very cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing your creations. One important thing to say, we have just released an update for Advanced Tactics Gold, which is one of the reasons why the game is on sale. It just got a major update. Vic has been working hard, even though he's been managing other familiar challenges, good ones. but he's been working on this really cool update. So you'll find it. You can download it now from all the different platforms, and you can go back to this. I think still after all these years, Advanced Tactics, it's kind of this a bit of a work of genius in a way. It's sandbox, and you can do lots of different things. And sorry, should we annoy Fjog with more French tanks? Yes, only got 47%. So does this mean that the nose got 53% or not? I'm not following. Because the winner seems to be yes, 47%. There was no nose. Oh. You're making my life so hard. So yes, going back to Advanced Tactics Gold. When Broken Arrow? Martin Cruz. When Broken Arrow? I'm not able to give you a when yet. I'd say that we're running lots of internal meetings about it, and so we'll give you more information about it as we go. But there's no real firm release date at the moment. So my answer, of course, can only be this fuzzy because I don't know either. So it's hard for me to answer. Is Alexander with us? Alexander. Hello Alexander.
Everyone.
Hello. How are you?
Happy to see you, Marco. Happy to see everyone. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
Are you nervous because release date is approaching?
Of course.
Is it? How is it? I mean, it's not the first game. I mean, you've done quite a lot of games, right? Is it always the same? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, probably not as bad as first one, but it's still bad.
Okay. What is it that makes you more nervous? Is it like players' reactions? Is it sales? What is it that makes you more like? Is the game gonna break?
Well, I guess it's like all of that things a little bit. Like, first of all, you don't want, of course, to miss anything and to make sure that the game is like as ready as it can be for the release. Secondly, of course, like you're hoping that the players would be happy with the game and would react, well to it. And of course, sales also matter, because especially for our previous titles, we were like a small team and basically our survival depended on that. So it was quite important to get that at least, decent, so we can keep going. So yeah, there are a lot of things at play, and it can make you really nervous, especially this months leading to a release. So it's quite tricky, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, Alexander, what was the hardest thing that you encountered in making headquarters? So in general, I'd say, it's been a long one, it's been a long development cycle, but what was the hardest thing you found?
Yeah, well, it's a question I'd like to think on it a little bit, because it's been like 3 years in development and there were a lot of stuff going on, so might not remember something like off the top of my head. Basically, there is a lot of things going on. It's just, it's always hard to pin down just, one like most crucial or most difficult thing, but I would probably say one of those things was, finding a balance between like the game is super realistic. So you want to try to make all the visuals and all the mechanics and everything to be as realistic as possible, but it is like still a tactical game. So sometimes you have to find some compromises. So I would say that's probably the most difficult, because people would come and say, tank could fire like a few kilometers away. Like, it doesn't look like that in the game. So, you're wrong. It's not like realistic in anything. For example, we have realistic scale for all objects, like buildings and vehicles and people and, trees and everything. But when it comes to shooting ranges, they are actually smaller. And the key reason for that is because it would be very hard to calculate your actions if you could fire across entire map with every unit. And it's also very hard to find where enemy is firing from if you could fire at you from everywhere. So it was just very hard and unplayable. Like we had it in one of the earlier builds, and we had to, find compromise, because you can already see even in this video there is like a red line highlighting line of fire, and it's quite large. Like for example, artillery can literally fire almost across entire map like this one, but some like tank units and everyone, of course, there are like things obstructing line of fire, like houses, forests, and everything. Was like so it was tricky to fine tune, to find that balance where it feels right. It's weird when you are like infantry standing on the road right in front of your tank and you cannot fire, like, because of attack range. So we wanted to give them a large range, but not overly large, so that it's unplayable or something. So I think players would tell us if we did a good job on that or not. And I also remember there were a lot of problems with like elevated terrain, because it was hard to get like the visuals and mechanics and everything to work together, because it had to look good and it had to feel like clear and everything. So yeah, so there were a lot of tricky things to consider, especially with very realistic graphics. Like I think many games that have like more simplistic approach to visuals, they don't run into those problems, because the game feels like like a model, like an abstract thing, and you don't need to worry like it looks like I can attack but I can't, why is that? So yeah, so I would say there were a lot of tricks with how we approach this.
Yeah, I think that in general, this is a problem that we've been going through many times. The striking the balance
Mhm.
between realism and our, and playability
Yeah.
is always one big
Mhm.
headache. I
Mhm.
think one question, I think it's
Mhm.
because this is where I think the game shines a lot, is also the fact that these maps look really alive in a way that they're it's not only just scenario with houses and fields. It's really, there's a lot of elements there that really make the maps so really alive and a pleasure to see, really. So good props to your art team and anyone who played a big role into making these maps look good. You know how did you approach that? How do you approach these things? Because of course we used to kind of see the villages here, but there's a lot of different types of maps, right? So how do you approach this map creation process?
Yeah, well, first of all, props to our art team. They're really great, and it's their like basically their dedication and their hard work and the high standards they set at the very start of the project that allowed us to, get to it. And their attention to detail as well, and of course our level design team, who put a lot of effort into making every level and everything. But yeah, well, the general approach was that if you are talking about there are basically two main like line of thoughts. So for campaign maps, we were mostly like researching what events are were happening, and what the battle. So they're all more or less precisely based on some real skirmishes or real battles that taken place during the Battle of Normandy, and we basically tried to make the area look like it would in real world, basically. So we were drawing inspiration from real landscapes and from real locations and everything. And then of course taking into account the game's limitation and some gameplay aspects that we need to also take into account. So that's when we speak about campaign maps, but we also try to keep them diverse. So you have some maps where it's like basically near the sea, or then there are some maps with like rivers or some lake or something. So with every map we were like brainstorming and thinking, okay, so why would this map like be different from the other ones? Is there some like points of interest or some interesting locations or anything? You know, maybe there is a chateau, maybe there is a big city, or maybe there is like a small town and the river. So how would this map differ? And you know, there are some unique maps, like for example, there is a radar station that's like a huge bombed out military camp with radar stations that you have to capture and everything. So, and there is like a map with a submarine base that was historically there, and you know, we've put a submarine model there, but of course you cannot like use it or do anything with it, but you know, it's there. So there are a lot of interesting maps, like the maps where you can see the V2 rockets ready to launch, and you have to like capture the location before they are launched and stuff like that. So yeah, there are a lot of interesting things going on there. With skirmish or multiplayer maps, we were more focused on making them more balanced, so you can see more symmetry there. You can see more like tactical considerations, like if it's balanced for like 2, 3, or 4 players, you need to take into account how far like each player starts from different points of interest, from different like locations they need to capture, you know, how the control points are located, like so that it's fair for everyone and it's interesting and competitive to play. And we still wanted to make them diverse, and you know, to have smaller and larger ones and for different number of players. I personally really like our map for 3 players, because it's like easy to make a map for 2 or 4 because they are like more symmetrical, but for 3 players it's a bit more tricky. So yeah, so with like skirmish multiplayer maps, we take a bit more like technical approach, and later we add some visual elements and some you know, style finer details and everything.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. It's you know, can you go through the different game modes and you know, tell us what different types of experiences? I mean, the game is big. That there's a lot to do with the
Yeah,
game. So
yeah.
you know, I think it's only fair that we sort of tell a bit more about that, all the options that the players will have when they launch the game.
Sure. So I will start where I think most players should start, at the tutorial. So it may sound boring, but I do recommend everyone to play through it. It's actually can be quite a fun experience in itself, because it's like an actual mission. You have to do it by yourself. Like you get some advice, but it's still you need to play through it. But if you feel like you don't need that, you can of course skip it and go to. So there are like I would say 2 main avenues where you could play. One is campaign mode, where you can play different plot-driven campaigns with voice dialogue, where you like move through the campaign and see how events unfold, and you carry over some of your troops from scenario to scenario. You can upgrade them between missions. You can first of all level up your troops. Then you can assign heroes to them, and your troops can learn new abilities and gain some unique abilities from heroes. And you can also learn different officer skills that are basically like your skills, and improve different tactical aspects for your troops. Like there are 3 main branches, like armored units, infantry units, and artillery units, and you can focus on like different branches depending on what campaign you play, like, or what country you play, and so on. So we will have 3 campaigns: United States campaign, United Kingdom campaign, and German campaign. So there is a lot to play there, and there are a lot of interesting scenarios in there. So this is one game mode. Then there is skirmish mode and multiplayer mode. And basically, skirmish and multiplayer mode are similar in nature, but in multiplayer you can just play against real like player opponents. And in skirmish you can play only versus AI. So I will explain a little bit like about skirmish, and then I'll explain different types of multiplayer, like how you connect with different players. So for skirmish, it's really flexible. Like there is a number of maps. available from the start, and there are various settings like what victory conditions you want to set. Do you need to eliminate your opponent, or do you need to control the flags, etc., etc. Then there are like a multitude of options. So basically, in campaign, you just get some units, and then you can upgrade them between missions. But in skirmish, you get some starting prestige that you can spend on your units and deploy them like turn one, and then every turn you get more prestige. So you can disable that, of course, but you can control like what is the starting prestige and how much players earn every turn, and that depends on what points they control. So basically, you fight for extra prestige income, and that allows you to get more troops, and and so on until one of the players is victorious. You can also play as teams, so you can play 2 versus 2, etc. So it's really flexible. I'm really looking forward to see how people, come up with creative ways to set up skirmish and what setups are most popular and so on. So for me, it's like a mystery. I have my own preferences, but I'm really looking forward to seeing people, explore it and coming up with different setups and so on. So that should be really exciting. And uh, with multiplayer, it's basically more of the same, but there are several ways to play it. So first of all, it's hot seat. When you play as several people on one PC, it's kind of old-fashioned, but we have it. Then there is classic Slitherine play-by-mail mode, where you can, it's actually, I quite enjoy it in different games, because you can just play it like for for a few minutes, make your turn, and then keep doing your stuff. So like you come from work, I don't know, make a turn in a couple of your PBM games, and then have your dinner and go to rest. So it's like really very flexible for your schedule. So that could be very convenient for many players to play some play-by-mail matches. Also, there is live multiplayer. So, for example, you can set a game with your friends, like on Saturday, let's say, and sit for a few hours and play through the game, and you can see other players' turns as you. Of course, if they are within your like line of sight, or if they are in fog of war, you can't see what they are doing. But if there is a combat between you and other player, you will see their actions as they do them. So this is like real-time, basically live multiplayer. I mean, it's still a turn-based game, but so you have to wait for other players' turns. But you can sort of, maybe sit on Discord together and talk through it and see what other players are doing. Maybe miss some of it and so on. And then. Yeah, so there are like those 3 ways to play it, and there are tournaments as well. So I'm hopeful that after release we would run some some PBM tournaments, and really looking forward to these, because we've tested it actually internally, but I'm looking forward to more people sort of trying it out.
I really wanted tournaments to this. This is going to be great. Yeah. What did
Yeah,
you
and,
forget?
and
Yeah.
I forgot one thing to add. So basically, there is also, if you get bored with the basic like map setup that we did, that are mostly balanced, you can make a random generated map, or you can make your own map in editor, share it with other people, and then play on that map. So there are basically like 2 ways to do it. One is random map generation tool. So there you just select the map preset, and then select like how much forest you want on the map, how much city you want on the map, like how much what terrain types you want, and so on. And then you can generate it several times, and you see a preview. And when you're happy with preview, you just export it, and it's added to the list of your maps. So you can like randomly generate maps if you like. And then you can also open those maps in editor and like fine tune them a little bit if you want. Or you can do your own map from scratch in the editor, basically. So there is a lot of flexibility, and players can experiment with it and, create their own like maps in for skirmish and multiplayer in editor and in a random map generation tool. So you'll never run out of interesting maps to play.
Um, Alexander, I have a final question. You can answer if you want, or you can keep it secret if you want to. Do you have a release date? Can we say it?
Well, we do have a release date, and there were so many people asking, like, so when is like headquarters gonna release? And like very curious about the release date. I bet a lot of people on the live stream would also like to know it. So maybe we should ask them if they are interested to learn about it a little bit more.
Do you guys want to know the release date or not? Or you want to talk about animals? We are interested. Yogdog is interested. Okay, you can say the month and I'll say the day.
Yeah, so, well, I guess if Yogdog is interested, we should say it. So, basically, well, it's in April,
Yeah, it's
and, I'll
April.
leave the full date.
Yeah, it's April 11th, right? It's
Yeah,
April 11th. We have it now locked and sealed, and it's already been locked into Steam as well. So we're looking forward to that. There's only 1 month to go.
yeah.
So in 1 month you can go on holiday, Alexander.
Well, not really, because there is a lot of like players' feedback usually, and I usually do my best to talk with people and answer whatever questions they have and everything. So maybe 1 month later I can.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Well, Alexander, thanks for joining us. We'll probably see you in 1 month's time for launch. And good luck with
Looking forward to
finishing,
it.
giving the finishing touches to the game. And congratulations on everything. I'll surely see you in 1 month time.
Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Marco. See everyone. Have a good day. Take care.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Cheers, Alexander. Yeah, well done, Alexander. The animals in the games, of course, are playable, so you can play as the Germans, as the Americans, as the British, and as the animals if you want. We'll add a new game mode for that. Are you? Can I ask about the price? You can ask Eraser, but I won't answer that. We know the prices are secret until we release. Sorry? We have a little video for you. Go with the video. April 11th. You got a release date. That's our next big thing. Answering the Terminator launch question, Ogdog. It went very well. I think it's. I keep saying, going back to this thing, that the market is really tough right now. Considering how the market is, this was a very, very big launch for us, and I'm very, very happy about how it went. So, the game was very, very good. Answering some questions about DLCs and more. We'll be announcing more stuff about Terminator later on as we go. One important thing is the patch for widescreen support has been released, so you get it. You have it available now, and tomorrow we'll launch a DLC for Terminator, which is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is releasing tomorrow about this time, around this time, or sort of earlier in the afternoon. So you'll be able to purchase the Terminator soundtrack from tomorrow onward. The game is too difficult for mainstream, but very enjoyable for us, Asterix. I think you're right. We're trying to fix that. That's a point that we got from a lot of people, and we're trying to fix that. This is going to be fixed very soon, but absolutely spot on. Canadian troops are in headquarters. Yes, they're involved in the game. You cannot play as the Canadians, but there's Canadian troops in the game. Not in Terminator, though, because you get me confused sometimes. It's brutal but fun. Yeah, I think one of the things that we got from Terminator, and we really wanted to be like that. To be honest, it's a hardcore RTS. It's not a light RTS. It's positioned like that, and this is because there have been quite a lot of more like light-hearted or like easier to play RTSs being released recently that really didn't address the issue of approaching a wider audience in the way that they would have hoped for. So we really decided to go a bit more hardcore to capture the interest of the experts audience first, and if the game would be loved by the fans, then it's then easier to sort of expand later on rather than just get hardcore players not liking it because it's too easy, and everyone else not playing it because they not really interested in RTSs. So that's really the positioning, and we are sort of proud that we went to down this avenue. Yes, so just to because I'm sort of I'm kind of late now. So I've said this. One thing we have just announced, just keeping the World War II theme flowing. We have, of course, last week or yesterday, we have officially announced Panzer Corps 2 Frontlines Bulge. This is a game that's releasing on the 21st of March. This is the first one in the series, the Frontline series. We'll have a pretty aggressive plan of Panzer Corps content coming in the next few months, so stay tuned for that. This is the first one in the new series. As you know, the Axis Operation series is finished. We're now sort of looking into wider, into expanding to other things. And this specific series, Frontlines, is going to be more zoomed in into specific operations. So imagine taking a zoomed-in approach to one specific, scenario of Panzer Corps, and keeping a close eye on specific operations that are sort of iconic of World War II. This one is being developed internally, so that there's all the love and expertise of making the Panzer Corps stuff. And our friend Kerensky is working on something else, and there's a lot of other stuff coming up. So stay tuned for that. But this is coming on the 21st of March. The tomorrow, is it tomorrow? We're releasing the second episode of the Scramble devlog. Is it tomorrow? No, next week. Does it make any sound? Next week we're releasing the second devlog of Scramble that we call Flight School. This is of course being hosted by our resident expert and development director of the game, John Coughlin, and you'll see it coming up next week. And I think I've said it. I've said everything that I know of. There will be Canadians. Can you stop the Canadian thing? What's the new thing? Kerensky is not fired. Yuliug, how can we fire Kerensky? Is the biggest word expert and scenario maker in the world for Panzer Corps. So that's not a possibility. He'll be coming at us chasing, and it's just that, you need some rest after doing like a huge campaign of I don't know how many scenarios linked together. But no, he's definitely not been fired. Canadians are legion. Canadians are legion. That's hard to think of, but maybe. When we getting more for Battle Sector, best game ever? Actually, it's an interesting question, Ballroom Brian. I think, there will be more Battle Sector coming. We have more in-house and more thinking of what the future of Battle Sector is. But Battle Sector has been going through very positive uptick in sales and a number of active players since the release of Tau. So we definitely are thinking of where to go. especially listening to some very specific requests that are coming from the community that I cannot mention now officially, but we're looking to that as well. So it's going to be an interesting ride also for Battle Sector 2, and looks at other window on his PC with great Battle Sector spoilers. Shards, shut up. Shut up. Do we have a streaming schedule? Yeah. Look at that! This is really cool. So, do we have more slides, or is it only one? Only one. Only one this time. Okay, Friday. It's tomorrow. Stargate with Yog Dog at 6 p.m. Terminator: Dark Fate Defiance with Gamer at 8 p.m. And Tau, Battle Sector Tau with Richard York at 10 p.m. For Matrix Monday, we have Flashpoint campaigns with Sergeant Z-Dog at 4:15, Strategic Command with Dust Tactic at 6:15, and War in East 2 patch update with XTRG at 8:15. If you missed yesterday's stream for Distant Worlds 2 with Eric Routines, shame on you. Great idea for the new Panzer Corps format to Guadalcanal to Rabaul. The problem with Asterix, the problem I see with doing Pacific stuff is that people will come and chase us with guns because we haven't released Pacific yet. So we'll have to be very careful there. As you guys know, Pacific has been shelved for the moment, so we're focusing on other stuff. But you know, it's not dead. It's just in a way that been sort of rethought as you know, we have to think about the naval combat system a bit more. Open beta for DW2 just dropped on Steam as well. Absolutely great changes there, and more announcements come on DW2. And actually, because the game is on sale at 50% off on Steam, there's also opportunity to sort of leave more positive reviews from the game and give us some love. The Strategic Command Pacific, it's actually Strategic Command World War II War in the Pacific, Shards. I just found out from a logo. I don't remember where I saw it, but that's the name. Strategic Command Pacific was announced today. It was announced, I don't know if it's been, yes, I think it's been officially announced, and the beta is open, Asterix. So you can go on matrixgames.com/beta and subscribe there for beta testing. And Sergeant Z-Dog creating Flashpoint campaign, Southern Storm tournaments. So yeah, make sure you get me. Will there be Master of Magic get more DLCs? Not planned for the moment, not for now. And any other question? Indeed, many people said that instead of Bulge, other not frequently done theaters would have been. I think you're right. I think the problem is that with all these things, the problem is you want to start with something that's very popular, and so that everyone knows what they're going to play, and then go to less popular stuff. But I think you're right that we should be looking at less popular stuff, then running some polls about what you want, and involving French tanks, of course. Yog, no Broken Arrow news, as I said. We're doing internal meetings to understand what's happening in terms of release date, release time frame, what to finish, what to add, campaign stuff, and so on. So we'll be posting updates on that in the next few weeks. I can think of some very unpopular nations to play as, like the Italians, for instance. And the decisive campaign satisfies with craving for Ardennes. Can't say Bulge. Yes, you're right. Yeah, Ardennes. Decisive campaigns, Ardennes Offensive, one of the best. Actually, my favorite of the decisive campaign series, to be honest. So, if there's no more questions, I've been very long. It's been going on for ages. So sorry for keeping you all this time. And I will hopefully, I will surely see you next week. Yeah, go play some games. Bye-bye.